deadlock without things getting escalated?
Um, Not so much because I wasn't really the mediator in that. I was representing a specific side, so um, no, but not necessarily with negotiations, but with like employee issues. Like if an employee was in trouble, I helped, or if their contractual rights are being violated, I would, try to help get that resolved. That would be part of the mediation to get these problems, contractual issues resolved.
Yeah, can you give me an example of that and contract enforcement, basically resolution and enforcement?
Um, I like, I mean, I've worked, sometimes it is the member's fault. They're not, if they get a bad review, it really is because they were not a good teacher. So I would work with them to help, with the rehabilitation plan.
Okay.
Um, so help develop the rehabilitation plans for, employees that were failing, because that's another difference in public education in since it's heavily union, you can't just fire someone outright. There's a process.
Yeah.
So I assisted, employees in developing and implementing their improvement plans and making sure it was, done fairly.
Okay.
Um, so that was my area. And then when it was the opposite, when it was the district that was doing wrong, I made sure that the employees, their due process rights, which are all under the ed code, um, made sure their due process rights were followed.
Okay. And
um,
then you also said that apart from contract negotiation, you were also doing the same, developing training guides and programs.
right, it was mostly like know your contract, or what are your rights. Like we would do like a maternity workshop for teachers that were going to go out on maternity leave, what their rights were when they came back. And so just a lot of the training I did back then was what are your like contractual rights, sort of thing, rights and
Okay.
responsibilities.
And you know how you were mentioning uh, the rehabilitative. Ah, I can't speak it right now. The FS.
Like a rehabilitation plan for
Yeah, yeah.
failing teachers, improvement, or we call it an improvement plan.
The improvement plans. And
Hmm.
the unconscious bias training that you were conducting at you do at your recent job, you weren't involved in that sort of work here.
No, not really. No, we
It was
didn't even have.
it was
Yeah,
representing teachers and increasing membership and stuff like that.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and because obviously you're applying for corporate jobs, so the thing that we can actually highlight in this section is the increasing membership part. So
Hmm.
did the county have the district in the area that you were responsible for, was the membership low? Was there an issue with there being basically the membership pool not being very ethnically, racially, or just diverse in general?
Yeah, that's true. Are you asking for a specific district, or?
Yeah, just for your area that you were responsible for.
um yeah, well, our membership and the laws are different now because this was like 15 years ago. But you know, our memberships were always high in CTA because it's almost like until like 2 years ago, it was almost required that you had to pay union dues whether you were a member or not. But we
Mhm.
always wanted people to be a member. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, we I would say, so it wasn't low. It was always like around 89 to 90%. So we kind of kept it at that level. Kept so I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Retaining people and maintaining that level of
Hmm.
membership.
Yeah.
So what steps did you take? Did you organize events,
Yes,
activities?
we did. Yeah, we did. We did like trainings on the value of membership. We did like what do you call that? Like I want to say social events, but you can call it I guess engagement member. Yeah, that's what member engagement activities like forums. We do, forums of for like our special education teachers, forums where they could get, learn new information or at least even just talk to other like networking events,
Mm-hmm.
develop networking events for new teachers. We did retirement workshops for our older teachers. They always love that. I don't know if that's helpful, but yeah, that's what we did.
Okay. And then it says that you developed a strong and effective organization. Were there any organizational or operational gaps within the organization that you were able to address and, streamline?
Yes, like when I started working with both the community college um, and also Placentia Yorba Linda educators, like um, they didn't have all their executive board positions filled. No one really ran for it. The former president, she would just had a couple of her friends. It was very disorganized.
Mm-hmm.
So supported the new president, helped the new president recruit new leadership, got people to run for the positions. Um, we had like half our sites did not have, we call them site reps. Those are people that represent their particular school's point of view on the union, on the rep council. So um, we increased the number of site reps because like a lot of sites didn't even have, like half of them didn't even have representation. So we went out to sites and visited and had one-on-one conversations with the members to to try to identify new leadership at each site.
Okay. Okay. And then it says here that you promoted CTA's member benefit programs, scholarships, and conferences to enhance member recruitment and retention efforts.
Yes, that was part of the recruit and retain our members.
Yeah, yeah.
Is we have
But were there any particular scholarship programs in place that you promoted?
I think the most popular one is the CTA scholarship for members and dependent children because
Mm-hmm.
everyone wants their kid to get a scholarship for college. So
Yeah.
um, and you can only apply if you're a member.
Okay. Okay. Did you help improve that in any way?
That was part of what we talked about earlier, just promoting it,
Okay.
promoting the program. Because before, like I said, we've had the program for like 30 years, and only a handful of people would apply for it because it was just, it was obscure. It was hard to find on our website, and it was all paper sort of communication.
Just to clarify, this is the same program that we talked about earlier in the
Hmm.
section. So
Yes.
you've been responsible for it throughout these jobs all the time.
No, no. That is true. No, but I did know about it, so I made a PowerPoint about the scholarship. I made sure, and back then it was all paper applications. So I made sure when we did our membership trainings or we did site visits that I would bring some of those materials with me.
Okay,
To
okay.
yeah. But no, I would. That's a good
You
catch. No, I wasn't in charge. I wasn't like the lead consultant on that
all right, all right,
project.
all right. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Uh-huh.
And then facilitating successful chapter political campaigns and community engagement. We talked about community engagement, right? To elect pro-public
Hmm.
education candidates. I don't see how that's very relevant to what you're trying to do now, but do you think
Okay.
anything you did here transfers over to the current roles that you're looking for?
And I don't have all of them in front of them. I think a couple of the positions said they were interested in outreaching to the community,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
So,
that transfers over definitely. So do you want to
yeah.
talk about what you did in terms of increasing community engagement?
Well, again, working with school districts, I've actually trained a lot of parents, you know, about on top of unconscious bias, a lot of parent groups. Um, Back when I was an executive director, we would go out to like the PTA, Parent Teacher Association, or sometimes like a lot of this was done. I don't know if you can call it community outreach, but it was like when we were trying to get our school board candidates elected. We would go out and go to different civic, functions and things like that to kind of promote our candidates.
Okay, okay. Great. And then the last bullet here is about developing and executing training for executive board members, site representatives, and members to build a strong
Hmm.
organizational culture. So I'm wondering, what was the culture like before? What were the issues? Was it toxic? Was it uh
Um,
diverse?
yeah, it was. Yeah, and actually, both of those chapters, there's a lot of, uh, they were only looking at having bringing their friends in because it was easier that way. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think there was anything corrupt about it, but it was just kind of laziness, like just getting some, So, and then a lot of times are they it was about developing leadership and empowering them. They just didn't know what was expected of them and what you know because a lot of people, they're classroom teachers, they're not executive board members. They don't know that much about running an organization. They know about running their classrooms. So just training what their role was as a board member, you know how to talk to members, their fiscal responsibility, their legal responsibilities. I was in charge of, training people and advising them on their role as an executive board of this local chapter of the union.
Yeah, okay. And I'm wondering, as a result of these efforts, were you able to bring in, can you like maybe quantify a little or even just mention if there was an improvement in, if the the membership increased or if it became more diverse, anything of that sort?
Well, yes, we were able to um, pull in younger and more ethnically diverse chapter leaders or union leaders.
Okay.
We filled all the positions on the executive board because they didn't even have all the positions filled.
Oh, wow. All
Um,
right.
yeah,
And
and
were you mentoring any of these people?
oh yes, and also because so they were. This was the local chapter, so they're just in their local school district. But I would also um, encourage them, or sometimes bring them to our statewide conferences, um, our statewide meetings, so they could get a broader view of the statewide organization as well.
Okay.
And I've had, just like people were just getting started, and then they ended up, getting involved at the state level and becoming a state leader in the union. So,
Okay. Okay. That's great. Is there anything else that you want to mention?
not that I can think of, though.
Okay. I'm sorry. You just talked about, how you mentored people up all the way into leadership positions, and they even became state union leaders, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Do you remember how many you've taken somebody who is at entry level to, a higher up leadership position within the organization?
Oh, no. I want to say, I don't know, maybe 10, 12, but that's just a guess because sometimes I don't see them again, after a while. And then,
Oh,
yeah,
all right.
so yeah, I don't have it. It's not, I don't have any stats
Okay.
on that.
No problem. And then the last position we have is a chapter services representative. This is when you started, right? At the Community
Right,
College Association.
right.
Then a little
So,
about Community College Association and then your role there.
well, I mean, it's kind of the same role, except that I wasn't able to go as deeply or affect as much change because it was, as you can see, I had 15 different community college districts, to deal with. So
50.
it was kind of like, yeah, I didn't get to do as much organizational development. I still did the, contract negotiations, contract enforcement. Um, I tried to, help them with their organization development, but I really, I, wasn't set up that way. So, no.
How did you try to help with that?
I mean, I would give them ideas about, visiting their sites, going out to the campus and talking to members. Um, we would have um, we would have like they called it flex time, so we would have meetings like campus wide union meetings where we could teach them or share with them their rights, responsibilities, membership, benefits, that sort of thing.
Okay, all right. And then while you were out in the field meeting representatives, what were some of the common challenges that you faced?
Um, I mean, it was just it's hard to work with community college because they're not like K-12 teachers. They're not on campus every day, so it's hard to set up a communication system with them. Um, I obviously had too many chapters to really go, focus on any one, to go in depth with them. So I mean that was a challenge, just time, and there was only one of me.
Yeah. So do you
So I guess
remember?
you could say I worked independently.
Yeah, but what would you say would be the overarching problems that you helped resolve as a rep for the organization or for your members?
um, I mean, it's always, trying to negotiate a higher salary, or equitable salary. So that was a challenge. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, all of it was a challenge.
Okay. And then you initiated and implemented programs to engage local leaders in membership recruitment and engagement. Let's talk about that. What were there no such existing programs before, and what programs did you?
Not really. No, not really. And like I mentioned, that really consisted of going out, to meet with people, having lunchtime meetings for any staff that were on campus or whatever building on campus. It was having general membership, just getting them to develop general membership meetings and even communicating via email. I mean, they weren't doing very much when in like I said, there's 15 different chapters, so each was doing more or less.
Okay. And then what? Who were the local leaders that you were engaging? Were
Well,
these
they're elected. Their chapter presidents, their executive board, their vice,
okay?
like
So
that.
not community members.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. And do you remember by how much you were able to increase the recruitment or even just engagement?
No, it was a long time ago, and I don't even think I was, quantifying it.
Okay. And same for the supporting chapter political campaigns and community engagement. Anything that you remember significant from there?
I mean, we got our candidates elected. I mean, that was about it.
All right. All right. Um, And just in terms of developing and executing trainings on member contractual and legal rights. All right, we talked about that. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, do you have anything else that you want to add for this section? Because we're not